Well, we're sitting here with Tommy Cardwell, very, very famous Ram's Island connection name here from the Loughneagh fishing community. And I'm going to ask Tommy here, he's sitting running the line in his kitchen, about the Cardwell family and the connections to Ram's Island. Tommy.
Hi Paddy, how are you?
Not too bad.
Well, old Robert Cardwell, he acquired a job in the Ram's Island as a caretaker. And Lord O'Neill would have been the man who paid him his weekly wage. So he lived on it in around 65 years. And he had a son called Thomas, and his wife was called Isabel. Now, Thomas had 13 of a family on Ram's Island, all reared on it, and the last one to leave it was my father, who left it when he was 16. He come till Moor here at the bottom of the Crumlin River, the waterfoot they call it, and he fished with a wee man called Bob McGarry, famous fisherman, famous swim net man in this area. And Robert looked after them. My father's father, he died young, 47, and the old man on Ram's Island and the old woman and the granny looked after the 13 youngsters. Now Robert was a very handy man. He had his own cabbage patch, his own turnip patch, and he had the place looking like a wee garden where he hung his nets to dry out on nails on the trees up along the garden end of the island. And then he acquired himself a cow, and
A handy beast to have.
a handy beast to have. So in Crumlin here there was an old sawmill, and it run down Crumlin River, and in the high water Robert come over regular and got the planks that were offcuts that fell into the river, got the stuff gathered up, and he made a pontoon for the cow. And then he sailed over to Loughneagh, which is a waterfoot. And the farmer seen him coming, and he had a great herd of Ayrshire cattle. And he says to him, "Would you have a bull, sir?" He says, "I would." He says, "Bring her on in." So we brought her on in, and the cow got out, got him up to the farmyard, in with a bull, back down to the pontoon, and took her back across the Ram's Island. A year later, he got the word from Robert on the island that the cow had 2 heifers.
Job done.
Job done. Then, when it come on a Monday, he was 95 at the time, and he used to wear the black sailor's coat with silver buttons and the black fireman's hat, and he had a comb to beard down to his belly. And my father was 9 years of age, sitting watching this every Monday, waiting to go to the post office to get his pension. So into the sailing boat and the bicycle, and my father over to the sand shore, Sandy Bay, onto the bicycle and up the road to get the pension. On the way down, he would stop in the local watering hole called McCambridge's, and he used to set my father on the window sill and say, "Sit there, you brat, till I come out." Now, he never stayed that long, but when he came out, he was quite happy. He got into the sailing boat and he sung the whole road home.
How many years was he on the island?
He was on the island 65 years.
Long time.
Long time in the island, Paddy. Another wee story about him was, Ram's Island area is a great place for baits at that time, and a good place for trouts. And he was talking to a couple of fishermen from the west, and he told them that there was that many trouts in Ram's Island that spring, they came out and ate the cabbages out of his cabbage patch. So, yeah. And then there's another great story about it. The leprechauns, after the monks left the Round Tower through tribal disputes and stuff, the leprechauns seized their chance to take over the Round Tower. And it come to be the annual ball was every year, the annual leprechaun ball on Ram's Island. So the king, he ordered the ball every year. King Leopold, they called him. He lived on the top tier of the island, of the tower. So he sent word round the loch to the pixies and the fairies and whatever leprechauns was about, that Daniel Ball was taking place. So, on the northern shore, the Pixies, they all get into their wee boat when they heard this. Maybe 100 strong, into their wee sailboats and headed up to the island, and then the western shore got the word, and the southern shore got the word, and the ferries and the whole lot arrived up at Ram's Island in their wee boats, grand flotilla of boats, maybe 1,000 strong, all up for Daniel Ball. And then the ball went on for a week, and of course this was all done in the dark. There was nothing done in daylight, because the leprechauns didn't want to be exposed.
Naturally.
And they cleaned up all the island, all the garbage and all. It was left like a clean shell. And that went on every year. And that was the annual leprechaun ball in Ram's Island.
Well, that was a good one, Tommy. It's good to hear them yarns, and good to hear that the little people are still knocking about and looking after us here in the Lough Shore.